What is up, Fantasy League enjoyers? I sure hope your Dallas went better than mine did. Top 77%. I fully thought and even said that originally I was thinking of going for a gamble pick, which, by the way, would have been Vitality or G2. But I decided to go for the safe pick of Spirit. And wouldn't you know it, they ended up getting knocked out pretty early on and FaZe got battered. So I had a really rough tournament here, top 77%. You can see, though, that considering how many negative points I have and I still wasn't in the top 90s, a lot of people were having the same thoughts and same opinions that I had in the previous one. And in actual fact, that is solidified by having a look at the celebrity leaderboard here, where although I had a stinker, a lot of other people did too. I'm still in 9th. There's still a bit of a gap between me and Note, who's in 10th. The lead has extended for the top players because a lot of them got like plus 10 points or higher. They got into the top 30, top 40% bracket. So I have actually like further went behind 5th position. But in terms of where I stand in this sort of mid to upper middle area of the pack, it's about the same. However, there's only a couple games left now. I think there's 2 or 3 games left because you have the Yalla group stage, which is today, and then you have the playoff stage, and then after that you have Blast, and I think there may be 2 games for Blast as well, so maybe there's like 4. So in terms of my prospects of getting top 5, I basically have to just go for it now. I have to throw Hail Marys and hope for the best, and see if I can get like a top 1, top 5%, and then try and transfer that into maybe a bit of consistency. You see people like Freya, I actually looked at her stats in the last video. Getting 2 top 10% in a row basically took her from around 15th up until 7th. And so that's the power of having 2 or 3 really good games in a row, is you can just fly up the leaderboard. So that's what I'm going to be looking for here. Now, in terms of the Yalla group stage, there's going to be some pretty obvious favorites because of recency and generally the way that the teams are coming in, looking into this tournament. There's a lot of roster changes as well. Like you're looking at Ents, obviously. They've just had 2 big roster changes. I had a chance to cast them myself, actually, at the Blast qualifiers. And they looked like a new team, in truth. And that's not really knocking them. It's just the nature of how they're looking. They got rid of D-Hat and Hades, and they bring in Poddy and SDY. They look like a team that's finding their way. And I think that's going to cause a lot of people to be very nervous about going for Ents, understandably so. Sashi, solid team, do a lot of work on online qualifiers. We haven't really seen them at LANs before. So that's going to be another thing where you're a little bit tentative when it comes to Sashi. NIP, certainly moving in the right direction, probably a little bit too early though, so a lot of people will be put off by those guys. Fnatic have had their roster change, obviously Blame F coming in, and there's always some scrutiny about Fnatic and are they good enough, are they consistent enough. Mattis, a really amazing player, but I actually just casted him have a completely off performance against DMS, Russian players that not too many people know a great deal about, and losing in the Blast Showdown qualifiers just a couple days ago. So they're going through a weird phase as well, and BlameF hasn't quite clicked into gear the way that a lot of people were hoping for. Furia, Kai, obviously fairly newly into the team as well, and so there's a lot of moving variables and parts on this one, and I think most people, and I'll say right off the bat, I am going for gamble picks here. They're not crazy gambles, but they are definitely gambles. Most people are going to go for Astralis, understandably. They've looked like the best team, on paper at least, on both of these groups. You can make a couple of arguments for maybe Complexity or Eternal Fire, but I think Astralis do look like the most complete package. Device's IGLing and his AWPing has been on point. Stown has had like this resurgence with Yabi. The 2 of them have started to play much better again. And it's a solid team. The price is also not too bad for some of these players. It's not outrageously expensive. You know, the most you're paying is for Stown is 220k. I think Device was 218k. So they're not going to break the bank. Obviously, you're going to have to facilitate a couple of budget picks if you're going to go for those guys. But it's not like a Donk who's 240 or a Zayu who's around 240. But as you can see from the title of this video, I'm going for the Eternal Mongolz kind of lineup, because it is a gamble. Now, it's not crazy because Eternal Fire and Mongols, in my opinion, they should make it through and they should get a bunch of wins. What I'm banking off here is to fully maximize my points. I'm hoping that the Mongols can defeat Astralis and Eternal Fire can defeat Complexity. That's what I'm looking for here, realistically, to maximize my points and give myself the best possibility of getting into one of the top percentages. When you even look at, and I'll show you here, when you look at the most common picks, where is it? Where's the most common picks? I think it's Fantasy Overview, isn't it? And then you have to click on it individually. I'm having a nightmare here, guys. Event overview, is this it? Yeah, this is it. I got there eventually. When you look at the most common picks, you're looking at Major, haven't gone for him. And then 3 Astralis players picked an outrageous amount of time, makes sense. Stairs 205, Bros 197, very affordable players. Honestly, really good value for money. Fantastic value for money. And then Device, very good value for money as well. And you're seeing I'm hitting 2 of the most common players in Mazinho and Wicardia, but they're less so. And I'm also trying to maximize with some of the other players that are on the same team, but they're not the super budget pick. So like Calyx, for example, is an upgrade from Major, and the way he's been playing coming into this tournament, he's actually had a couple of really good events, so I could see him maximizing and doing really well. Another key part to mention on this one is all of the opening matchups are best of ones, and I think best of ones further allows the Mongols to bring down some of the big teams, the Astralises, the Heroics, these kinds of squads. I think it's even a higher possibility of that potential to come into fruition. So I'm very interested to see how they're actually going to perform in this one, because I think when you look at the overall bracket, they can definitely beat Heroic, who also are just flying back from NA. So they might even have jet lag and issues within them. Ents have gone through a transitional phase. NIP are in a transitional phase and haven't been solid for quite some time. And Sashi are like this online underdog sort of team that I think the Mongols can certainly handle. Astralis is the one question mark, but I think Mongols can beat them in the best of one. Eternal Fire coming into this have had really, really good performances in their recent sort of few events. They've even won. I'll show you here on second. Obviously, even winning the CCT Global Finals, beating Liquid 3-1, beating Gamer Legion, they beat Saw, they beat BetBoom, a lot of decent teams here. Also, some good performances at like ESL Pro League, only losing to FaZe and Saw, fair enough. They lost to Astralis as well. And they obviously had a really good Major performance. So it's why I've stacked a little bit less funds when it comes to Eternal Fire. I'm mainly stacking for the Mongols here to turn a lot of heads in the Group A, and then on the other side of the bracket for Eternal Fire to do most of the heavy lifting and complexity to make it through in second, where JT, who was 190,000, has the capabilities of also just popping off and having really good games and securing a bunch of points as well. So I am going for a gamble. It is risky, but I think it's the kind of risk that I feel more confident with, I feel more comfortable to take, and I don't think as many people are going to have a similar squad to me, so it increases the chances of me actually managing to make a move up through the ranks and getting a higher percentage. But we'll see. It could very well backfire. We'll have to wait and find out. We've got Headshot Machine and Mazinho. He has a 66.8% headshot ratio. That is crazy. That's higher than Rain. Complexity, I expect to win a bunch of games, so whack the leader on JT. Senzu typically is going to get a lot of entry and multi-kill kind of rounds. He's also very good on the T side of maps, which I think is going to lend itself very well to the map pool that we have right now with Anubis and Dust 2. So I feel pretty good about him. Wicardia, he's been a little bit off in the last couple of events. Like he's been dropping off just a tad. At one stage, he was unbelievably good, but I'm going to whack an attacker on him as his attacking stats are 1.22. Another guy that can get a lot of entry frags and really crack open sights. So definitely interested in seeing how he performs. And then we have Calyx on the supported role, just shy of 25%. And he is going to be hopefully getting me some points across the way as well. So that's generally the team. How do you feel about it? Comment in the section below. Let me know. I know it's not the wackiest of gambles. I think there's definitely a method to the madness that a lot of you will understand here. But because Astralis players are actually very reasonably priced, and I think are definitely on paper at least the strongest team at this tournament, a lot of people are going to be going for Astralis. And so I'm kind of praying on them to not necessarily not make it through, obviously, but that the Mongols do top the group and get some W's over them. That would be ideal. Catch you in the next video, guys. Peace.